I'm just going to say a few things about backyard conservation. And certainly native, that is landscaping with native plants is a very important aspect of that. There is some very dramatic data actually that's been gathered recently on the value of native landscaping as opposed to ordinary horticultural landscaping. One, I meant to actually get some of these figures in my head before coming tonight, but one was a study done by Doug Tallamy, a biologist and researcher who looked at a native, looked for, watched for 3 years a native landscaped area and compared that to an area, a similar area that had mainly non-native plants, shrubs and perennials, and found that the native area supported 72 species of butterflies and moths, while the area landscaped with non-natives supported 4 species of butterflies and moths. I think that those kinds of numbers or similar numbers also apply to lots of other groups of organisms. So there's some very real advantages to native biodiversity from landscaping with native plants. Many of you landowners probably have forest on your land or are next to forests. And listed here are just a few basic recommendations for managing forests if you are concerned about conserving native biological diversity. Preserving native tree species of different species and different age classes is very important. It's one of the reasons why ecologists usually frown on the idea of what's called high grading in logging operations, that is taking just the largest and best trees, for example, and leaving all the rest. A forest habitat is maintained in the best condition for a great variety of wildlife and plants if it has a great variety of native tree species of all ages. Another important aspect of forests for biodiversity conservation is the presence of dead wood, both standing dead wood and down wood, which are very important habitats themselves. They create important micro habitats for wildlife and plants in some cases, and are very important to the development of the forest soil. Lots of people who are managing forests in somewhat suburbanizing landscapes often try to clean out their forests, remove the dead wood, clear out the underbrush, but from an ecological standpoint, it's much better to leave those things wherever that's possible and wherever that can be done without creating safety hazards for humans. Maintaining the forest floor undisturbed is also very important. The forest floor is the place where the fungi that are extremely important ecologically to almost all the plant life in the forest reside. Forest invertebrates, amphibians, and reptiles rely on the undisturbed organic duff on the forest floor for cover, for food sources. And it's important to keep that forest floor free of compaction by by foot traffic, by vehicles, ATVs, other kinds of things, if you're interested in maintaining the ecological values of a substantially undisturbed forest. Minimizing roads and trails will help to maintain forests in large patches. Roads and other kinds of openings through forests allow predators of various kinds to get into forest interiors, where many of our most sensitive songbirds and other species are often nesting and raising their young. Animals such as striped skunk and possum, raccoons often use the forest edges but don't get into the forest interiors unless roads have been cut into those areas. Those can be very serious predators on the, for instance, eggs and nestlings of many of our migratory songbirds, and have been blamed for a lot of the declines seen in those species throughout the Northeast. And most importantly for forests and lots of other habitats is the idea of maintaining broad habitat connections in the landscape between forested areas and between forests and other kinds of habitats. There are lots of things, ways that you can manage your lawns in ways that will encourage native wildlife and plants, both on your lawn itself and in the areas surrounding it. One